Hello, my name is Marissa Jacobs, and I am an informal environmental educator who blends the arts and environmental sciences in order to create a deeper understanding of our natural world and the ecosystems that we're a part of. I chose to focus this capstone on bird conservation. So I took my program participants on a little birding adventure, exploring birds that are found locally, how they impact our ecosystem, both on a local scale and on a global scale, how important birds are to the planet's health. And I talked about some ways that we can be actively conserving and protecting birds around us by creating window clings. Let's take a look here. I had the opportunity to teach over 40 learners all about bird conservation. We started out discussing what bird species the kids already knew of and how did traits like color, size, or beak type help them. One enthusiastic student really impressed me by mentioning that you could look at the tail feathers of raptors in order to differentiate them. He was quite the birder in the making. Once we understood what to look for in order to identify birds, we discussed how even if we can't see the bird, we can do something else to ID it. And all the students immediately knew, oh, we can hear them. After classifying birds, we moved on to why birds are so important to our ecosystems. We should protect birds because what they do for us and what do they do for other wildlife species? By being guided to make connections through inquiry-based science, the students were able to come up with a list of ways that birds play a vital role in the local and global ecosystems. First, birds spread seeds that provide food for humans and other wildlife. Second, they help pollinate flowers. Third, they manage pest populations, and if they're carrion eaters, help prevent a buildup of dead animals. And fourth, they are so beautiful and provide humans with a way to connect with the local natural world. Once we knew the basics of bird ID, I sent them on an indoor birding scavenger hunt. Their goal was to find and identify all of the 10 bird posters that were hung around the building. On each poster was a QR code to All About Birds song database for them to listen to. They also needed to observe what made each bird unique, take note of the habitat the bird was found in, and using visual clues from the images hung all about what sort of things they might eat based on beak style and where the bird lived. Then they all returned to discuss their findings. Some students made a note that the posters were hung at all different levels. Some were way up high, some were at eye level, and some were almost touching the floor. They determined that this was where the birds either liked to nest or liked to feed, and used that information to make informed conclusions about their ideal habitats and diets. Now that they had some basic birding practice, we went outside. We used our skills of observation and critical think to determine where the birds were most likely to hang out and figure out the best place to watch them. We were able to stay quiet for a moment and hear the unique sounds of the fish crow and compare that to the call of the common crow. On the way back inside, I had students look around and determine what items could potentially harm bird populations. Many guessed pollution from cars, but after a discussion, they also realized that the windows of the buildings could be dangerous too. Back inside, the program culminated as we created window clings in the hopes of preventing bird window strikes at home, in that classroom area where we were, or wherever these kids were able to stick them up. Some students mentioned they were going to save the 1 billion birds that die each year from window strikes, and I wished him good luck. Overall, I was just happy that this student was so determined and now felt empowered to make a change in the lives of the bird that he loved so much. Overall, throughout this lesson, these kids had the ability to explore the attitudes of curiosity, and they were so empowered to make a change for the better. They were able to take a look at the focus skill of examining the geographic perspectives, mainly of historical perspectives, and looking at how bird populations have changed over time, We also looked at geographic perspectives as we examined where birds are located all over the world, and of course, throughout the whole thing, the ecological perspective of just how these ecosystems are interconnected. We also examined the focus point of knowledge of seeking geographic connections as they analyzed their own impacts on birding populations, as well as how they made a difference both locally, regionally, and globally. It is my hopes that now these kids are so inspired to make a difference in their own communities and make a better world for birds.